October 2023, a date which will live on in infamy, a date which has, I think, altered the world in many ways. Not just that specific event that happened or the events of 7 October, as horrific as they were, but what was to come was even more horrifying and horrific and terrible. So, welcome. Today we will be joined by, well, it's an unfortunate occasion, I suppose, but after what has happened over the past year, I thought there are very few fortunate occasions. So, I will be hosting Singapore Youth for Peace, Garrett Ng, the founder of Singapore Youth for Peace. He founded the organization after October 7, and we'll have a chat with him about what his organization is about. Hello, hi Garrett.
Hey, Professor.
Hi, you can call me Walid, please. Yes, so how are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a
Yeah.
long. I just got home like about an hour ago.
Oh, so you
Yeah,
did the event just now on
I was on my
the
laptop
week.
outside.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, all right, okay. So Garrett, maybe you wanna share a little bit about yourself. You can. Yeah, okay. This is good. You wanna share a little bit about yourself first?
yeah. So hold on. Let me just adjust this again.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
So hi everyone. Uh, I'm Garrett. I initiated Youth for Peace in 2023, um, December 2023, and it's been about a year since since I launched this initiative, and we've been growing steadily. I now have a team of 5 people, including me, so that's pretty great. Um, a little bit about me. I'm from NTU. I'm majoring in psychology, and I'm doing a second major in public policy and global affairs, actually.
Oh, that's news to me. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, you are in year one, right?
I'm currently in year 2.
Oh, you're in year two. So
Yeah.
you've done a few PPJ models
Uh,
already.
I'm taking fundamentals to politics and introduction to international relations.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay, all right. So Garrett, so how did you get into this? You said December. So maybe tell us a little bit. Were you politically aware, involved before December? Did you already declare a second major in public policy? So what happened and how did you get into this?
Um, so I wasn't aware of what was going on in Palestine, Israel. I sort of had some a little bit of knowledge about what was going on, but I was not well versed with it. In fact, I'm not well versed in it now. I'm still learning. I think all of us are still learning. Um, but there was a tipping point in December. So after October 7th, I was still trying to understand what was going on, and I was a little confused because the mass media was reporting a particular narrative, and I was getting a different narrative from people around me, from my friends on social media. So, but the tipping point was in December. So I was following a number of accounts reporting everything that was going on in Gaza, and there was just this one night that I saw this video of this young man on top of a collapsed building, on top of rubble, and he was holding, I assume it was his family member or a friend. He was holding another guy in his arms, and he was just crying. He was covered in blood, and he was just crying and calling out to God, asking why, and I think I couldn't sleep that night. It just struck me so hard, and the next day when I woke up, I suddenly thought, I felt really helpless, and it was just sudden surge of I just felt like I had to do something, and it compelled me. That video compelled me to do something about it. And knowing that I'm just a young person in school. I don't have a lot of connections in the political arena. I don't know a lot of like big people. I knew that I had to start small and I had to do something. So I blasted a message on Instagram and I asked all my followers to join me in this Telegram account that I set up. If they wanted to contribute to my efforts, if they wanted to join me in doing this thing. And I decided that I was going to write something to the Prime Minister, to the government. So a lot of people joined the Telegram group, and I we used this group as a platform to discuss and talk about what was happening. So every day I would send questions to the group and ask them, like, what do you think of this? What is your perspective on this issue? How do you think we should solve this problem? How do you think we should do this, do that? And at first it was a little quiet, but people started to, they became more vocal and they gave their inputs, their opinions, and I collated all these opinions to formulate what was a proposal. For those who follow us on youthforpeace.sg, you would see that we wrote a proposal to the Prime Minister. Yeah, so that document, that proposal
So
was the start.
what were the contents of that proposal?
So the proposal was calling for action on 4 points. That number one, we as a nation, we had to condemn Israel for what they were doing. Number two, we have to recognize that what they're doing is not an act of self-defense because it is not consistent with international law, it's not consistent with any nation that is conducting warfare on basis of self-defense. In the document, we also called for Singapore to encourage more dialogue, to allow people to engage in more dialogue with each other. And we also said that the nation had to represent the views of Singaporeans on the world stage. Yeah. So apart from just representing the nation from a political perspective, we also implored on the government to speak on behalf of the people. Yeah.
What if the people actually were not pro-Palestine?
No, yeah, that would be that would be an issue, right? I think we have to acknowledge this problem. What if the people were not pro-Palestine? I think I had some form of worry about that. I had some worries about that because I knew that the pro-Palestinian community in Singapore was still small.
Mm,
But at the same time, I knew it was the right thing to do.
right.
I knew deep in my heart that it was the right thing to do, even if we were small, and even if hypothetically there were lots of people who did not support the Palestinian movement, right? I just felt that it was the right thing to do. And speaking on this point, I think it's important for us to acknowledge that we are a small community in Singapore. Maybe it's a growing community overseas, but we are a small community here, and there are lots of Singaporeans who don't have views about this issue,
Yeah.
or they don't agree with us,
Yeah.
and but that shouldn't stop us from doing what we're doing now.
Okay. So
Because
what does? Yeah, please
because
continue.
I think part of what we're doing is we're also trying to like grow this coalition of pro human rights, pro Palestine, pro freedom, pro self determination. Yeah.
Yeah, especially whenever people start off this their statements, right, or their criticisms, condemnation of Israel with, no, I believe in Israel's right to self-defense, right?
Mm.
And I feel now we should flip the script, right? Whenever we are asked to condemn things, right? We should start with, I believe the Palestinians have a right to self-defense, but they should do that in accordance with international law. I believe the Lebanese have the right to self-defense, right? Because we almost never hear people saying about the Palestinians' right to self-defense, right? Um, and we just have to ask the question, why is that the case? What is different about the Palestinians, right? As opposed to others, right? What is different, right? And I think we all sort of know the answer, right? What is different? I mean, Edward Said said about this, like, this is just anti-Arab racism, right? I would say it's even more racism than Islamophobia because the Palestinian Christians suffer the same as well. So what does today, right? Today. So thank you for that's your origin story, right? Every superhero has an origin story. So what does Palestine mean to you today after 1 year of reflecting, or maybe 10 months or more? What does it mean to you today?
What does it mean to me? I think Palestine means a lot of things to me. Um, some people have said this. One of my team members have said this. Palestine is a litmus test for humanity. Personally, for me, it means my heart, because I grew up as a Buddhist, and in fact, like leading this initiative, a lot of the things that I do or say or write are based on my faith as a Buddhist. I see personal responsibility in this. I see myself being a global citizen to contribute to this movement, to contribute to the safety, the well-being, the freedom of people. And so like Palestine means everything to me because the Palestinians are not that different from any of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, although they're in the Middle East, they're a different shade of color, skin tone, they speak a different language, they have a different culture. They're just humans like us.
Yeah.
And they can easily be Palestinians too,
Yeah.
right? You flip the story, we could easily be Palestinians too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I look at the Palestinians, I'm also looking at myself. I'm looking at like all the things that they have endured in the past, I would say almost close to 100 years. Has it been 100 years? 70.
Well, if you count 1917, then yes. If you
Yeah,
count the Nakba, then it's been 70 plus years. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And like if we don't stand for them, then who is going to stand up for them? I mean, they're going to stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But as people, when we are in danger and we need help, we would expect other human beings to help us,
Would
right? And
would you still expect other human beings to stand up for us after what we've seen? I mean, today, I mean, maybe before this we would, but today, would you still expect other people to?
mm,
I, I, uh, I have very little expectation. I think if anything happens to, the other people will. Oh yeah, yeah. I feel for him a bit. But yeah, life goes on.
I think in terms of politics, I think it's valid to feel that way. When you look at this entire issue from a political perspective, um, when if hypothetically if this happens to us, I'm pretty sure nobody will come and help us, and that's always been a narrative for our country, right? We have to stand up
Yeah.
for ourselves, but at the same time, I think we need to have hope in the world. We need to have hope in young people, because like this entire movement is being led by young people. The older generation who have been fighting for this cause, they have passed the baton to us, and we as young people inheriting this world of the future, we are the ones leading the charge on this movement now. It's the same with like the Vietnam War. Who were the people who stood up for who stood against the Vietnam War? It was young people, young hippies in America who stood up courageously to say that we don't want this war. We need to stop slaughtering people in the name of democracy. It's the same with this. Young people are leading the charge, and I think it's important that we have hope in young people. Yeah. If we lose hope, then we lose sight of everything. This entire movement is built on hope.
If we lose hope, we lose life itself. There is no
Exactly.
life without hope, right? So I definitely agree with you. Just empirically, I think you are right. The global movement now is led by young people. However, I don't want to be as ageist as you are. There are there are a lot. We are also, as it, we are different generations, you know. So, I mean, the young people are also standing on the shoulders of other people. You know, I was named by someone. My uncle named me after a Lebanese prime minister. My uncle, since I was young, before I knew about Singapore politics, I already knew about Palestine. You know, and he passed away a few years ago. He would have been 81 this year. So you know there are a lot of old people who this have become their obsession for many years as well. But you are right. Just empirically, I think throughout the world, younger people are leading the movement. There's a couple of questions by Arun. I think it's very interesting that you mentioned your Buddhist background as well, because it's relevant for this question. The Palestinian issue has been, and still to a large degree, is framed as a Malay Muslim issue in Singapore. In your advocacy, have you encountered this?
Um, so surprisingly, we haven't received a lot of feedback or comments in our posts claiming that this is a Malay Muslim issue. Um, but I do see where this is coming from. I think there are some people within the population who believe that this is a Malay Muslim issue because it's happening in the Middle East. Again, it's back to the same argument that anti the anti-Palestine people are saying, right? Like this is an Arab issue.
Yeah.
Like I think the West has always said like the Arabs are always fighting with each other,
Yeah.
and I to some extent I understand why our government here would worry about this, and because of like our racial tensions, like maintaining the racial religious harmony and all that. But I think we have to take this leap of faith and try our best as a nation to look beyond this being a Malay Muslim issue. Because like look at all the people in in the pro Palestine movement here. We have people from different
Yeah.
backgrounds. We even have a Chinese Jewish girl that's part of in the movement. I'm
Yeah.
Buddhist. We have a lot of Christians, Catholics, you know, who are rooting for Palestine,
Yeah.
who see the atrocities committed, and they say no.
If even the Pope, by the way, the Pope is quite sympathetic to Palestine. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is not a Malay Muslim issue. This is a human issue. It's an issue about human rights. It's
100%.
about, it's about power. It really
Yeah.
is about power. It's got nothing to do with like religion or race. I mean, there are some undertones,
Yeah.
religious and undertones in the way like the Israelis frame this entire issue, or like even some Arabs, the way they frame this issue, they always bring in the element of religion, right? Because Palestine is the birthplace of Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
and it is also an important landmark for a lot of like the world major
Yeah.
religions. But if you look at what the leaders are saying, world leaders are saying, especially what the Israeli leaders are saying, they it is it truly is an issue about power. They just want political power. They want to control the region. They want to have everything to them. And in fact, I think like to, the Israeli government, to some extent, they're also taking advantage of of this um of this framing of religion and religion and ethnicity to launch
100%.
campaigns. They're unwarranted campaigns against the Palestinians.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. But by the way, Garrett, there is something that's beeping at the back. I don't know what is it. Do you hear it, or am I the only one who? Every now and then it beeps. No, okay, maybe it's just me. No. Uh,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Okay. So it's fine. It's fine. So you're absolutely right. I think there are. I mean, we cannot deny that religion is part of it, but at the core of this issue, this is not about religion. This is injustice. This is repression. This is oppression. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. So you have had about a year to reflect, right? And you sort of alluded to this question earlier. Oh yeah, people do hear the buzz as well. I don't know what.
Yeah, I think
What?
it's my phone vibrating.
Oh, okay. But there was a beep. It's a specific beep. Yeah.
Is it still buzzing now? Okay, we'll see.
Mm.
We'll see in a few minutes if it's still
Okay,
buzzing.
okay, okay. So, uh, are you in the minority, you think?
Mm, mm, as a as part of the pro-Palestine move cause here, I think I am a minority. Um, I don't know what do you mean by minority?
Minority numerically.
Mm,
I mean, you are not in the racial minority in Singapore, right? Uh, so, numerically, are you in the minority, the pro-Palestinian group?
y- yes, I think so. As a pro-Palestine advocate, I think I am part of a minority group. Um, I can confidently say this because I mean, if you were to approach anyone on the street and ask them if they have an opinion about this movement, if they have, if they care about it, well, what do they think about it? I think most people won't have a concrete opinion or perspective on what they think is going on or what they believe in. So there's no shame in saying that the pro-Palestine community in Singapore is still a minority, but I think we've talked about this before. You've mentioned this before in some of your your talks as well. And you said that we've actually come a really long way since like many years ago, and it's the first time that you're seeing so many young people mobilizing for this cause. So although I think we are kind of like a minority now, I think if we persist in our efforts, we will change things along the way. We will elevate the consciousness of people. People will become more aware. More young people will step up to see that this matter, it has something to do with me, even if I live thousands of kilometers away from Palestine.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that hopeful note. And as you said, right, what other choice do we have, right? We have to be hopeful, right? And
Have
so
to.
in that vein, do you talk to people outside your circles, people who are apathetic or people who may be even pro-Israel?
Mm, I have not encountered anyone who's pro Israel. Um, I think on social media, maybe on our youthforpeace.sg account,
Yeah.
we get comments sometimes. I'm not gonna name accounts, but I think we know like there are a few accounts that consistently come back and say things in our comment section. I think it's fine. I believe in freedom of speech. You know, you can say what you want, as long as you don't insult people. I think it's fine if you want to express your opinion. I think part of this entire movement is for us to establish means to talk to each other, to hold
Yeah.
dialogue. Because without
Indeed.
dialogue, we can't grow our community, right?
Indeed.
We are always
Indeed.
our own echo bubble,
I,
echo
I'm
chamber.
so I'm so glad you're saying that, Garrett, because I find that a lot of times because we believe we are on the right side of history, and we are. I think we are. Sometimes we shut people out from the conversation, right? So, and not everybody is malicious. Sometimes they're just apathetic, or they have grown up in an environment where they thought that Israel is the good guy, that they are just being
Yeah,
besieged.
yeah,
They are by their neighbors, by people who hate them for who they are, and they are just starting to unlearn that. And we should include as many people into the movement as possible. And the only way to do that is through dialogue and speech and debate and discussion,
yeah.
right? Not by saying, "Oh, if you disagree with me, then you are."
Speaking on this issue, um, I think I think the pro-Palestine movement is heavily based on empathy. the reason why we're doing this is because, excuse me, the reason why we're doing this is because we feel for the Palestinians. We empathize with them. We sympathize with them. We empathize with them, and we want to be part of their consciousness. We want to do something for them. And I believe compassion, empathy extends to everyone. And
Right.
I'm speaking this from the perspective of my faith. I believe compassion and empathy is something that should be extended to everyone, regardless of who they are, what they think, and because it is a value, and I think values got to be consistent. If we show empathy to the Palestinians, I think it's important that we show empathy to people who might not agree with us, because we can easily be those people who are on the other side of the fence too. I can be pro-Israel too, because this isn't a story about you versus me. This is a story about humanity. And I think probably some of us have heard of this before too. If we went back in time to Germany, World War II, a lot of us would think that we won't be Nazis. A lot of us would think we won't be that German supporting the Nazi party. We won't be that soldier, that SS soldier. But that's not true,
That
because
that's
statistically,
absolutely not true, and I think this incident has completely debunked that, right? Because we
exactly,
never know. Yeah,
statistically, any of us could be that one
yeah,
person committing those
yeah.
evil acts. So it is important for us, because we're on the right side of history, we have to show empathy to these people and help them bring their humanity out from within themselves. We have to help them recognize their humanity, their compassion, and their empathy, their own hearts. If we don't, we're just shutting people out. And that's not that's not our goal.
Right. No, that is very. You are displaying wisdom beyond your years. So thank you for that, Garrett. Very well put. There's a there's a spicy question, I suppose, by Arun, who's always looking to spice things up. To what degree do concerns about the authorities being sensitive to this issue shape your group's advocacy? You already said that you understand to some extent that the government are touchy about this, right? Because of the potential racial, religious ramifications. So how do you navigate that? Your post, your advocacy, what do you do?
I'll be really honest with this. When we first started out with the proposal, we were very careful with the way we wrote the proposal, because we know that the political climate here is a lot more controlled, for various reasons, which I can understand to an extent, to a good extent. And we we've been really careful with the way we conduct ourselves. And I think for now, it's important that we try to navigate through these navigate through this political climate, because we just started out. like like this entire sudden um this movement of young people coming out to speak about Palestine, it just began like last year, right? And not just in Singapore, but internationally. And I think with regards to us in Singapore, I think it's important that we navigate through these issues carefully, mindfully, because we want to sustain it. We want
Right.
to continue doing this for the long run. Because if we do anything that's rash, if we do anything that raises the alarms of the authorities, and if we get clamped down, that mean that's end of story for us. Like, we won't be able to do what we want to do. But if we do
Right.
this carefully, we do this mindfully, and find ways to work with people in the community, whether they're leaders or ordinary people, we will see ourselves going far. And I think that is most important. We got to sustain this movement. This is not this is not something that we could just touch and go.
Right.
We got to make sure the movement sustains for as long as it can, because the road to peace, the road to justice was never easy, and it will never be easy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, you don't strike me at all as as an anti-establishment, anti-government person, the way you said everything is very careful, very thought through, So I hope, right, that the authorities also see what I see, and they should view this. We are at a different point in history in activism in Singapore, I think. Previously, yes, maybe those who are criticizing the government, those are activists, right? It's not that they don't even have Singapore's interest at heart. They do. They just have different ideas about how to reach there. But this time around, even more so, the pro-Palestinian activists, a lot of them were previously apolitical. Many of them are even pro-government, pro-PAP, supporters of PAP, but they just want to see justice for the Palestinians. And I really hope the government embraces that and takes it in good and responds in kind, And you have said that you assume the best intentions of them, and I hope they also assume the best
Yeah,
intentions of activists, So thank you so much. There are many questions. The comments is buzzing, right? Is that the word? Or is it buzzing? Is it? I don't know what language you use. Yeah, but adding on to the question on advocating in Singapore and how strict the government is, what do you think on an individual? Oh, okay. So for an individual, what do you hope to say? Oh, that's our last question. So we'll get to that later on, so we can end on that. So Mardia said, could academic settings like university be a feasible platform for greater dialogue, especially locally? I think if you cannot discuss something in a university, I say this as a person who works in a university, where else can you discuss it? It doesn't make sense. But I also understand, we live in Singapore a lot of times, sometimes administrators, bureaucrats, they are even more cautious than the government. So while we can push that, also I think sometimes we just have to do our own thing, right? We can do on Instagram. We don't need any university approval. So do you have anything to say on that, to add on that?
I think um it's gonna take some time. I think everything takes time in this country. I'm not complaining, but I think especially in universities and educational institutions, it's gonna take some time before we can really engage in
The
these.
the beep is
Yeah,
back. Yeah. Yeah.
it's my phone vibrating again. Sorry.
Okay.
I think it's gonna take some time before we could really freely discuss these issues in our educational institutions. But I think in the meantime, as university students, we got to do our own learning. Like, I think it's important that we read and not just read material that's coming out from social media, from the newspapers. We got to find books and read these books.
Yeah.
Like, for Edward Said, I think my heart is really close. I feel like my heart is really close to Edward Said because um, he stands for the values that I believe in too. And recently, my cousin came to visit from New York, and she brought a whole bunch of books, Edward Said books, and I've yet to go through them. Like, I've started reading on them, but I've yet to go through them. And I think it's important that we read um, these
Which
writings.
which ones? Which
I,
ones?
I got them here right now. Actually, let me show
Show
you.
them. Show them.
So I got this. Oh, it's flipped, but the selected works of Edward Said from 1966 to 2006. So this is it's a collection of like his essays
Wow.
and stuff. And I think I got this too. One
Ah,
State,
right.
Freedom,
Okay.
Future for Palestine and Israel by Ghada Karmi,
Right.
who is also an activist and academic in Israel. She's a Palestinian with a Israeli
Right.
citizenship.
So,
Yeah,
by the way, for those who are not familiar, the one state solution is basically where you have, it's not a Jewish state, it's not an Arab state, it's one democratic state where everybody it's one person, one vote. So that's the one state solution.
yeah. And I think also beyond Palestine books. Let me pull
So
up a
take up
book.
your whole library, man.
So like beyond books on Palestine, I think it's important that we read books that discuss other issues too, because they're all related. International issues, the issues of peace and war. So I have this book, A Quest for Global Peace. Um, it's a
That's
it's a
by that's by
it's a discussion between um, two academics, and they talk about war ethics and the nuclear threat. This is an old book. It's from the early 2000s, and it's also it's a conversation between Joseph Roblatt and Daisaku Ikeda. Daisaku Ikeda is uh is my mentor in life. I'm
oh
talking from perspective of faith again,
oh
and so this you can find this online. You can buy this online.
I cannot see this.
This is an interfaith dialogue between a Buddhist and Islamic scholar, and
Right.
on
Okay.
the topic about global civilization, about war and peace again. I think these books are valuable, and as university students, as students in general, beyond what we learn in school, we got to read about these
Right.
things. We got to read these books
Ho-
to
Hold on.
gain.
I feel like I need to take out my books as well and show some. Just give me a So since we are at it, I feel like there's a Garrett disappeared already. Or is this uh so this is except for Palestine. By the way, you can get all of this in Warda bookstore, my favorite bookstore in Singapore, because that's the only bookstore in Singapore that carries my book. So, except for Palestine, the hypocrisy of basically progressives who are
Mhm.
progressive on everything except for Palestine. Nora Arakat, please Google her. An amazing, amazing professor, legal scholar, justice for some, talking about the illegality of Israel's occupation. Of course, the definitive study, historical study for me on Palestine will be by Rashid Khalidi,
Oh yeah,
100
that.
Years War on Palestine. Must read, must read. And of course, for Singaporeans, the OG of Palestinian activism in Singapore, um,
Oh
Ang Swee Chai. And I don't know, have you read this already? I
no.
bought this for my boy actually, but I was reading it and it's amazing as well. So, as in I've read it before, but I read it again when I bought for. So this is by a Palestinian, right? So Ahid Tamimi. Yeah. So, and of course, if you want, I saw somebody mention Noam
Oh yeah.
Chomsky and Ilan Pape.
Oh
So this all of these books, by the way, Wardah has a Palestinian section. Please go and get them. At the very least for me, Dr. Ang Swee Chai and Rashid Khalidi, that is a must, right? I don't know how we got here, but we are, we are here. We are here. So yes, Chomsky has entered the chat. Yeah. So thank you for that. Those book recommendations, and you are absolutely right. I wanted to say this as well, that it is so important for us to read. For me, you read Rashid Khalidi as a person, a pro-Palestinian advocate. After 1 year, and if you still haven't read Rashid Khalidi, then I think, are you really serious? Because this, what we need to equip ourselves with is knowledge about this. If we want to educate others, right? So it's not just about showing social media posts. That of course that reaches the heartstrings, tugs at the heartstrings, and that's very important. But we also want to equip ourselves with knowledge about the issue, right? So it's extremely important. Yeah, so somebody also, people are just suggesting their own books. That's fantastic. Oh, fiction should be included. I just got this. This is on Palestine and narrative. So this is a very short book. I just got it at Warda a couple of days ago. So yes, fiction also I think is excellent. So Warda bookstore, it's at in front of Sultan Mosque. So um, if we do not equip ourselves with the necessary knowledge, then I think we are doing ourselves and the movement a disservice in Singapore, especially because we have to convince a lot of people still,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Garrett, for that. That was fun. So, there is a common question, and I've asked you before. Thank you. Yes, T Genius, please go and buy. So there is a common question that youths after one year, after a while, they'll move on to the next sexy course, right? The next woke course, right? Um, what do you have to say about that? How can we continue this this passion for the cause, a consistency in this cause, right? So someone said Ghassan Kanafari as well. Definitely, that is a fantastic resource as well. So yes, how would you respond to that?
I think people who say this are just trying to shoot us down. I think. I don't think.
But are they
I don't
wrong?
think.
Are they wrong? It seems like
Yeah.
there's always a new cause.
With in particular to this issue, I don't think the youth are gonna move on from it like a trend. I think it has this issue. The images that are coming out from our screens, it has radicalized a lot of youth, and I don't mean by like when I say radicalized, I don't mean it in like a negative way. I think it has opened up the consciousness of a lot of youth around the world, and it has touched the hearts of many. And I don't think the youth are gonna move on from this issue like it's some kind of trend, because simply because this issue is about human lives. It's about the livelihoods of everyday people like us, and actual it's an actual genocide that's happening in real time. A lot of older folk have always said that young people we are like the strawberry generation, like we don't know what it means to suffer. We've not seen war and all that. Well, this is our turning point in our growth and as youth.
So you
The
agree
older people.
before this you were strawberry. You agree?
I, I don't know people. I don't think I'm strawberry,
Okay, okay.
but yeah, like,
Right.
well, I mean, the older generation, they have gone through a lot. They've been through World War II. They've seen the Korean War, Vietnam War. Some of them have seen the have seen the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia, an actual genocide that happened not far away from
Yeah,
Singapore. And Palestine is our World War II. Palestine is our Vietnam War. So it is not gonna we're not gonna let go of this issue that easily, because it has radicalized and has touched the hearts of so many young people,
yeah,
like young people like me, you know.
yeah.
And the way I look at the world, it is evolving day by day as I'm learning more about Palestinians.
Right.
Yeah, so definitely not. I disagree with people who say that we're just gonna leave this issue after some time, like it's some kind of trend. No way, it's not gonna happen.
Thank you. And I think, and I hope, and I think you are right. You are right
Mm.
that this issue has mobilized people in a way that I haven't seen before. My only concern is a very it's nothing to do with Gen Z. I know I like to make fun of Gen Z. My second favorite pastime after doing Teh Tarik videos is making fun of Gen Z. But I don't think this is about Gen Z per se, but it is the natural weariness, after weariness, after a year, people just get mentally tired, emotionally drained, spiritually exhausted. So they just check out. They just don't want to see all these videos and ads anymore. And for them, ignorance is bliss. So this fatigue, right? This activism fatigue is common for many issues. But I think for this particular issue, right, it probably is far more of a concern just because of the emotional toll it takes.
Yeah.
So I think that's why for people who are really concerned about it, we should continue to put this on the table, right? Continue to put our content out there, continue to do videos, which is why still want to do, like, from time to time when I feel like, oh, maybe I'm worried that people are sort of desensitized to genocide already, then do another episode on it, right? What do you think about that?
Mm, sorry, what was the
Yeah.
question again? What do I think about?
So this fatigue thing.
Oh, okay. Um, I have some advice for people because I've experienced it too. Um, yeah, it does take an emotional toll. You get tired of it, and I think it's only natural, which is why it's important that we got to be aware of what's going on in our minds too. Um, you got to know when to take a break from it, and I don't mean this in a way that I know there are a lot of activists who say, uh, Palestinians are going through this every day. Why can't you pluck up some courage? It's through your screen. Why is it such a big deal?
Yeah.
And I think to be really fair, like everyone has a different threshold.
Yeah.
We're all different, and some
Yeah.
people have a for this kind of content, and some people don't. And I
Yeah.
think no, you got to know yourself really well. If you feel like you're getting jaded, you're feeling really tired and disconnected from what's happening, take a break. If you really want to continue on with this, you want to continue fighting this, take a break from it. Take like a few days or a week even. Come back stronger. Come back stronger so that you can continue to do what you're doing. If you force yourself to look at all this content, if you force yourself to debate people all the time, you're definitely going to get tired. There's no one else to blame if you eventually give up on it. You
Yeah.
only have yourself. So my word of advice to everyone who is passionate about this issue, take a break, take a break and come back stronger. Don't worry. No one's gonna point fingers at you for taking a break. We all need to take a break at some point.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think understanding that we are in this for the long haul, and what you said earlier, right? Justice, it takes time. It takes
Yeah.
time. And we also cannot, oh, we've done this already. Why haven't the government changed? Why haven't people changed, right? But have we really put in all the effort that we could?
Mm,
Have we tried to change societal opinion? Have we increased the demand side of the equation, right?
exactly.
So thank you for that. So there is a question by Arun, and then I'll end with one question. I don't think I need to take a break also. I don't think I can carry on much longer. So how do you think this surge in activism regarding Palestine will affect advocacy on other issues in Singapore? So let me rephrase the question. So from the people in your circle who are pro-Palestine, do you see them becoming more politically aware and active on other issues since they have taken up the Palestine mental or activism? Or do you see that they can compartmentalize? They are only interested in Palestine, or they are most interested in Palestine. The other things don't really concern them that much.
Yeah, this is difficult. Um, I think I think everyone has their different roles and responsibilities in society, and some people are very passionate about certain issues, and some people are not. And some people have specializations in certain issues. Some people specialize in foreign issues. They care more about foreign issues, and some people care more about domestic issues. I think to an extent it's okay, um, because we all have our roles to play in this entire world. But having said that, I think um, from what I've seen in youth, I've definitely seen some youth who have become a little more politically conscious of domestic politics as a result of what they're seeing with this issue. Um, but again, it takes time, especially living in a country where um, I hate to say this, but we have to acknowledge that we are pretty fortunate living in this country, and a lot of things are just handed to us. I mean,
Why do you hate to say it?
because because there are people within the Singapore population that are also challenging with a lot of issues
Right,
too.
right. Of course,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think, but in general, I believe that most of us are living comfortable lives here, and as a result, like, we don't feel like we have to take part in political issues, in like the political arena. But we have to remember that politics is daily life, and daily life is politics. Because politics, the sort of policies that come out from the government, the things that our leaders say, the things that ordinary people propose to the government, it all comes back to you. And if you're active in the Palestinian cause, I think it's worthwhile that you also look at the issues that we're dealing with here. We're not a perfect country. We have a lot of issues within our country too. And again, as young people, we have the energy, we have the vigor. We should look at what's happening in Singapore too and find ways to contribute. Even if you don't participate politically, you can volunteer. You can volunteer your time to the needy. You can do so many things to contribute to the political scene here in Singapore.
Okay, thank you, Garrett. So my final question to you is, what would you like the Singapore government and Singapore society to do that they have not already?
Damn, this is a big question. Um, I, I definitely hope that we will recognize Palestine as a legitimate state.
Do you hear me banging the table
Yeah,
in approval? Yes.
yeah. Hope
Yes.
that not just the government, but like as a people, we will recognize Palestine as a state, a legitimate state. That's the first thing that I hope for. Secondly, I hope that we will do more. We will contribute more in putting a stop to this. And I believe that as a small nation, we might have a limited effect on what's happening in the Middle East because we're dealing with like bigger powers. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do anything. We should do what is right. And I hope that soon enough, I hope our government, our country will do more to stop Israel, even if it's like sanctions, condemnation. Just do whatever it takes. I'm not saying that as a country we can stop Israel. We can't,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we can contribute to that
yeah.
effort. And I think it's important we'll contribute to that effort to put a stop to what Israel is doing and holding people accountable for their crimes. So that's one thing I also hope. And for the people, I hope that this entire movement, with all these different groups that are coming together to speak about the issue of Palestine and Israel, I hope that more young people will come out and we will be more comfortable talking about these things over the dinner table. I really wish that we can not casually, but we can comfortably talk about this in public with our friends, and not just like talk about materialistic
Yeah.
things. I really hope that we will talk about things that matter a lot more. That's one thing I hope for the youth. and I'm always optimistic. I'm I'm full of optimism. Yeah.
As you should be. Thank you, Garrett. I think I don't want to summarize the live because I mean there's no way I could summarize everything that you said other than repeat what I said earlier, that you are definitely wise beyond your years. So thank you so much for doing everything that you do. So hopefully more youths take up what you said. Go to fewer Taylor Swift concerts. Not don't go. Go to fewer. Talk about the weather less, and talk
Yeah.
about the things that matter, right?
Yeah.
I never understand when people say, "Oh, don't talk religion and politics too." Then what do you talk about? Those are the that's precisely what you should be talking about all the time,
Exactly.
right? And football, yeah. Thank you so much, Garrett. I really enjoyed this, and thank you for doing everything you do.
Thank you,
Good
Walid. Thank you.
night, everyone. Bye
Good night,
bye. Bye.
everyone.